the Spot Mason from FX Empire, and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, EOS, Ethereum and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support and resistance levels. It is Thursday the 20th of August. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, we're looking at the hourly candlesticks. Bullish start to the morning. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid a pullback through the pivot at 11,782 to support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 11,998. Support from the broader market is going to be needed for Bitcoin to break out from 11,800 levels in the morning high, however. Buying extended crypto on the day, first major resistance level and Wednesday's high that was at 12,022.5 should cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level sitting at 12,239 that could come into play, but we've seen plenty of resistance at 12,000. A pullback through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 11,541 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should avoid the second major support level sitting at 11,325. Looking at the MACD, we've got the bullish crossover and the widening of the bullish histograms, supportive of the early move and yesterday's late recovery. Looking at the moving averages, we did have that bearish crossover of the 150, so through the morning going to need to see that 50 EMA move back across through the 100 EMA to support a recovery of yesterday's losses. So keeping an eye on the EMA will be key, and Bitcoin will need to avoid a pullback through that pivot at 11,782. Moving across to EOS against the US dollar, it's a bullish start to the morning. Going to need to EOS avoid a fall back through the pivot at 3.3970 to support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 3.5822. Support from the broader market is going to be needed for EOS to break out from 3.50 levels. So barring an extended crypto rally on the day, first major resistance level and yesterday's high sitting at 3.6295 should cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level at 3.8146 to cap any upside. A fall through back through the pivot would bring the first major support level at 3.1646 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, EOS should avoid the second major support level that sits at 2.9794. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bullish histogram, supportive of the early rally off the back of yesterday's late recovery. Going to need the 50 EMA, however we're seeing that narrow against the 200 after a bearish crossover through the 100. So key through the morning will be a pullback, avoiding a pullback through the pivot and a break back through to 3.5 to support a recovery of yesterday's losses. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, also a bullish start to the morning. Going to need to see Ethereum avoid a pullback through the pivot at 409.44 to support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 425.12. Going to need to see an extended crypto rally for Ethereum to break back through to 420 levels, however. Barring an extended rally on the day, that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 426.97 should cap any upside. Pull back through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 391.9 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, Ethereum should avoid the second major support level sitting at 376.22. Looking at the MACD, we've got a bullish crossover supporting and pointing out that late yesterday rebound and the bullish start to the morning. We are, however, seeing that bearish crossover of the 50 through the 100 and a narrowing of the 100 and the 50 and the 200. So need to avoid a 50 crossover through the 200. If that crossover takes place, then expect another meltdown. Key through the morning will be to avoid a fallback through that pivot and a return to sub 400s. Moving across to Ripple's XRP against the US dollar. More modest gain through the early part of the morning. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP break through the pivot at 0.2916 to support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 0.3043. Support from the broader market is going to be needed for Ripple's XRP to break back through to 0.30 levels, however. Failure to move back through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 0.2772 into play. barring extended sell-off, Ripple's XRP should avoid sub 0.26 levels. Second major support level sitting at 0.2645 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, we're seeing a widening of the bullish histograms, supportive of the early uptick. We have seen the 50 cross through the 200 EMA, however, suggestive of another pullback through the day. So key through the morning would be to move through the pivot level to 0.30 levels to support continued recovery of yesterday's losses.